Whether the team is giving us the highest of highs or the bluest of blues, we'll cover it all here on Commanders Nightly News. Of course, I'm your host, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to tonight's lead story. So, the Washington Commanders fall at the hands of the Atlanta Falcons 34-27 in week 4, dropping their record to 2-2 on the season. A very disappointing loss, one that you guys as fans took extremely hard yesterday. I think that's going to be the theme of the season. Every time this team loses, fan base is going to crash out because, again, the expectations are so high this year. And so every loss feels like the sky is falling. And I get that. I truly do. But I didn't take yesterday's loss as hard as some of you did. Yeah, and I think the reason why for me is that, I mean, we went in there half-staffed. Like I knew it was going to be an uphill battle. I really did. I did not expect the defense to play as poorly as it did. Now, that I didn't see coming. That was really disappointing. That's the reason we lost yesterday. But, you know, one of the things I found hilarious throughout the comments yesterday was the fact that people kept saying, because I said, I just want my demon back. I just need my GOAT back. When Jayden comes back, it heals a lot of it cures a lot of the ills that affect this team. And I saw a lot in the comments. He doesn't play defense. Bullshit. Jayden plays defense. Jayden plays offense. Jayden plays special teams. He plays everything. Why do I say that? Especially defense. What did we see him do last year? Like, one of the reasons we lost to the Falcons yesterday is because the offense didn't convert on third downs. They didn't sustain offense. We didn't keep our defense off the field. That's how Jayden Daniels plays defense, folks. By keeping the football, possessing the football, shortening the game, and not allowing the opposition to have opportunities to take advantage of our defense. And again, our defense isn't as bad as it was last year. They don't need to be babysat the way that the defense had to be babysat last year. But it would be nice to not have them be on the field for 35 minutes, which they were yesterday, because the offense was only on the field for 25 minutes because they couldn't sustain drives. It would be nice if that were the case. It would be nice if you get a great special teams return like we did from Luke yesterday, or you get an interception return from Mikey like we did yesterday, and you don't settle for a damn field goal. That'd be nice too. Jayden helps with that as well. So don't tell me he doesn't play defense. Because au contraire, my friend, he does play defense too. By playing exceptional offense, he plays defense. But I digress. Let's get to yesterday's loss. And we have keys to victory that the team absolutely ignored yesterday. And I do this for a reason every week, because if they follow, it's not often that I tell you, man, they killed it in the keys to victory department and we still lose the game. It's very rare. Okay. Usually, because again, I handcraft these keys to victory for each opponent. I tailor them to the things that that team either doesn't do well or they do well. And we have to either minimize their strength or we have to capitalize on their weakness. Whatever the case is. Or same thing with us. We have things that we suck at and we have things that we're really good at. And we need to either highlight those things or we need to try to suppress those things the best that we can, right? When we do those things, we usually win. When we don't, we lose. It's really simple. They didn't do those things this week. We lost. So let's talk about them. I started with the offensive keys. And the first thing I said we needed to do was establish and win the line of scrimmage in pass pro, but more importantly in the run game. And I said I wanted 150 or more yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. So I gave us half credit for this because I felt like Marcus Mariota was protected for the most part in the pocket. He had time to deliver the football, do whatever it is he needed to do with the ball. I actually thought he had lanes to run as well, and he was reluctant to use his legs in this game for whatever reason. So there was that. And then we ran for 147 yards. So we just fell short of the 150 that I was looking for. In addition to that, we only had 1 rushing touchdown. So we didn't get it done on the ground the way that I wanted to. I thought we could have been a lot more effective in that department. We left a lot of meat on the bone, I think, on the ground because we were having so much success. We averaged almost 7 yards a pop on the ground. And for some inexplicable reason, there were times where Cliff got away from the run. And we know Cliff at his core, as a former, quarterback, he wants to throw the football. And if you let him, he'll throw the shit on every single down. But there were, with Marcus out there, I just thought there would be more emphasis like there was last week on with the run, right? I just thought we would run it over 30 times in this game. We didn't have the ball, though, in this game. Partly that's due in part to what we did. Like, we got a drive going, and then you decide to go play action fake, and Marcus takes a shot into double coverage and throws a pick. That was on a first down. So you just cheated yourself out of and we were running it that possession. We were running it that possession. You just cheated yourself out of an opportunity to continue to move the ball on the ground, something the Falcons were struggling to stop, and putting yourself in really advantageous situations. Then you could have taken that shot at some point when they were continuing to get gouged in the run game and they had to bring up support. Then you could have taken a shot that you hadn't gotten them to that point yet. And I thought we jumped the gun there, but that's nor here nor there. So I gave us half credit. We were good on the ground. We weren't good enough on the ground. Some of it our fault. Some of it the fact that it wasn't enough, right, from Cliff. I think all of it is our fault. I don't think it was anything the Falcons did to deter us from running the ball. I think it was all us. Whether it was penalties that pushed us back and took us out of situations where we could run the football, or Cliff just decided not to run it, right? The next offensive key was tempo. Win early downs. I wanted to give us half credit for this, but the fact that we were so bad on third downs, it hindered my ability to separate the two, which I should have been able to do, but I just couldn't. The tempo wasn't established in this game. Don't feel like we ran our tempo the way that we normally do. We didn't have enough offensive snaps. That's a big problem. We'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show when we take a look at the snaps offensively and defensively in this game. I did think that we actually did well on early downs when we weren't backed up, when we didn't make a mistake. But we didn't establish tempo, and I was not a huge fan of. I don't think we got to our tempo. And again, a huge part of tempo is you have to possess the football, and we didn't do that in this game. That's why it's hard for me to separate tempo and third down conversion rate, because in order to go tempo, you have to have the football. In order to have the football, you have to convert on third downs, and we didn't do that. And so it's hard to get into a rhythm. It's hard to establish tempo when you're not converting on the most pivotal down in the game, and that's third downs. Eliminate mistakes and errors. I said I wanted 4 or fewer penalties in this game and absolutely no turnovers. I knew we had to stay clean on the road against a Falcons team that had struggled to score. We had 6 penalties, so we exceeded the 4 that I wanted to see from this team. And we did have the turnover, the Mariota turnover. So for the second week in a row, Mariota had a turnover. Last week it was a fumble. This week it was an interception. We were able to overcome that fumble last week. We were not able to overcome that interception. That interception was the difference between, because we were already in field goal range, right? You cannot make that mistake because that literally took point. It's one thing if you throw an interception on a deep ball on 3rd and 19, you took a shot and they picked it off, whatever. You were going to have to punt anyway, right? That was a first down, unnecessary shot into double coverage with you already being in field goal range. So at a bare minimum, we don't know what would have happened on 2nd down and on 3rd down, but at a bare minimum, you could have put 3 points on the scoreboard, and that changes the way Atlanta goes about their business at the end of the game. It changes the way we have to go about our business, because that last drive where they kicked the field goal to go up 2 scores, that would have only put them up 1 score. We would have been getting the ball back with the chance to tie the game up. Again, Falcons would have had to be more aggressive in trying to score a touchdown there. Who knows? Maybe we get Penix to make a mistake trying to be aggressive. Who knows what would have happened? But we never gave ourselves a chance because of that turnover. It was big, right? So I couldn't give us any points there. We didn't eliminate the mistakes. We turned it over. We had the penalties. That negated a big, completion to Jaylen Lane down the field. Like, we had too many mistakes in this game to just go half credit or anything of that sort. Score points. was the next thing. I wanted us to score a bunch of points because the Falcons hadn't done that this season. Well, we scored 27. That should have been enough. I've said that already. I said it yesterday a bunch of times. I'm saying it again today. 27 should have been enough. But we could have done more on offense. 27 didn't have to be it yesterday. Win third downs, 50%. We didn't do that. Obviously, we were 1 of 8 on third downs yesterday, which is just not who we are. And I keep saying that, but yet we haven't been good on third downs this year. And I keep saying that's not who we are. That's not who we are. Until we prove that that's not who we are, that's who we are. We were 2 of 2 on fourth down, but we were 1 of 8 on third down. And until we can improve on third downs, that's going to be our Achilles heel. Because even when Jayden was in the lineup, we weren't good on third downs. So we have to improve in that department. We don't do that, we're going to continue to struggle on offense. We can't get to our tempo. We can't be consistent. Until that happens, we're going to continue to struggle. And then I said red zone efficiency. I needed 66% or better. Well, they gave me the 66% or better. The problem is we only made it to the red zone one time. Once. And we converted that for a touchdown. Yet the Falcons made it to our red zone 6 times. Like, what are we doing? The fact that we only lost by a touchdown is crazy, considering they made it to the red zone 6 times and we only made it once. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So I gave us half credit there because we didn't convert on third downs, but we did convert in the red zone. We just didn't get there enough. So you go over to the defensive side, and obviously it was a mess yesterday. First defensive key was hold the mustard, limit Bijan, and I threw in Tyler Algier in the game, but really it was Bijan. Don't let Bijan beat you, right? Don't let the mustard get you. I said he needed to have less than 85 yards rushing. Check. He had 75. I said he needed to have less than 40 yards receiving. He had 107 yards receiving yesterday. Ouch. And I said he could have no more than 1 touchdown. He had 1 touchdown yesterday, but the 100 yards is inexplicable. You can't allow a running back to exceed 100 yards. And yes, he had the big 60-plus yarder down the sideline on Bobby. I don't give a shit. That's the point. It's Bijan Robinson. You know what he's capable of. Don't let it happen. We let it happen. So obviously you get no credit for hold the mustard because we did not hold Bijan Robinson down. The next defensive key was muddy the pocket and hold up on the back end. We did not muddy the pocket. Felt like Michael Penix Jr. had all day to do whatever he wanted to do. If he wanted to shine his shoes, if he wanted to, shiny the ball up, look at it a little bit before he decided to grip it and fling it 60 yards in the air, he could. Like, again, I know you guys are going to continue to beat up Marshawn Lattimore. Go right ahead. Use him as a pinata. But I don't care who you are, that double move that got run on him, 30 yards down the field, like you can't, there's no way a double move should be executed 25 yards down the field. And then the ball is thrown an additional 10 yards down the field. There's no way that should be taking place. He should not have enough time to do that. Yet he had as much time as he wanted on that play to deliver that double move completion down the field, which was a penalty initially because he grabbed him around his waist. But it was like 2nd and 17. He should be able to sit on the sticks. He should not have to be worried about a double move getting him on 2nd and 17. But I digress. We didn't muddy the pocket. We didn't hold up on the back end. Neither part did their job. The secondary wasn't good. The rush wasn't good. So in unison, neither of them helped the other out. And so it was a massive struggle in the game. No points there, obviously. Next defensive key, win the early downs and force 3rd and longs and then flex your 3rd down muscle. I wanted 25 to 33% conversion rate on 3rd down for the Falcons. I gave us half credit because I actually thought we did win the early downs. They were in a lot of 3rd and longs. They were in a lot of 2nd and longs, for that matter. And we stunk it up on 2nd and long. This felt a lot like the Giants game, or in the reverse. the Giants had us in a ton of second and longs, and we converted those. We got a lot of chunk plays in second and long and set up some third and, manageables and things of that nature. That got done to us. We had them in 2nd and 18 and 2nd and 17 and 2nd and 15, and they would get 13. They would get 12. They would get 16. And all of a sudden, or, it'd be 3rd and forever, and we'd have a 5-yard illegal contact penalty, and it'd give them an automatic first down. And you're like, oh my God, what are we doing? I gave us half credit because I did think like that last drive when they converted those third downs, it was 3rd and 6. It was 3rd and 8. It was 3rd and long. Downs that you're supposed to get off the field on. And we just couldn't do it. So I thought we did well enough on early downs. We just stunk on third downs. We stunk on third downs. And 6 to 12 is not my idea of success on the defensive side of the football, allowing them to get 50%. It's just not who we've been this season. Didn't expect it to be who we were on Sunday, but it was. Then the last defensive key was win the red zone and special teams. I wanted the Falcons, who had been averaging 14 points a game, and their highest point total of the season was 22 points coming into the game. I wanted to keep them under 20 points. I thought it was a reasonable ask of this defense to be able to hold an anemic offense that hadn't done jack diddly poo squat all season. I thought it was a reasonable request to ask them to hold the Falcons to under 20 points, whatever that looked like, 19, 18, 17. I had us holding them to 16. I thought it was a reasonable request. I didn't think they would double up the point total that I suggested that we hold them to, and scored 34 damn points. When's the last time the Falcons scored 34 points in a game? I'd love to know. Probably when Kirk Cousins was the starter, right? Like Michael Penix has probably never led them to a 34-point outburst. He had his most passing yards of his young NFL career with 313. 20 of 26. I don't know the percentage there, but if it was 20 of 25, that would be what? 80%, right? So he has to be like just a shade under 80, probably like 76% completion percentage. Are you kidding me? Are you shitting me? We were so bad defensively yesterday. I said, hold them to 50% or less in the red zone. And I joked before the game. I said, that means 1 of 2, 2 of 4. I said 3 of 6. I said, but if they get 6 trips to our red zone, that means something went wrong. There's no way to get into our red zone 6 times. And then the bastards went and got into our red zone 6 times and went 4 of 6 in the red zone. Ouch. This defense was atrocious yesterday. Really disappointing stuff. So when it's all said and done, 1.5 points out of a possible 8. I don't know when's the last time we were that bad in the keys to victory, but usually when you're that bad, you lose the game by more than a touchdown. This feels like the Tampa game week 1 last year. This feels like the NFC Championship game. It feels like one of those types of contests. We lost by a touchdown. And a lot of it was self-inflicted. So that's why I don't feel as bad. And we didn't have our quarterback. Jayden Daniels starts that game, we win. And I don't want to simplify things because we still should have won the game. But it's that simple for me. So that's why I'm not tripping. So anyway, I digress. We definitely need Jayden Daniels back. We need our demon back. And I think he's going to be back this week. At least that's the hope. Let's get a word from one of our sponsors, Sleeper. We'll come back on the other side. We'll jump into In Other News, what DQ had to say, take a look at the snap counts, etc. See you on the other side.
Sleeper is the best. Sleeper is the best way to experience and connect over sports together. It's a one-stop shop for all of your sports needs. You can celebrate and chat in the games in real time with other users, get the fastest scores, blazing fast news and alerts right at your fingertips. Play in fantasy leagues and win real money on picks contests. So enjoy sports the way they were meant to, together. Download the #1 sports app today. Predict the hottest football stats like passing yards, receiving yards, touchdowns, interceptions, and much more to cash in on your daily fantasy football skills. Use promo code LTN and Sleeper will match your first deposit up to $100. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. Sleeper.
In other news, we will talk about what DQ said at his press conference today. He had a number of things to say. He talked about this team. We had another injury that is probably going to be a season ender. What's new? It seems like every week we come out of the game and there's another injury to report. So we'll talk about that status. He did give us an actual pleasant recap of, some of the guys, but again, that are injured that have a chance to come back this week. But we'll get more information on that on Wednesday, as we usually do. So before we get to anything that DQ said today, let's go ahead and take a closer look at the snap counts from this week's ball game. And as you can see, 57 snaps offensively. I can't tell you the last time that this team had less than 60 snaps in an NFL game offensively. It speaks to the inability to convert on third downs, as I mentioned, 1 of 8. It speaks to the inability to sustain drives. We had great field position throughout this game, whether it was a Luke McCaffrey return or it was the Mikey Sainristil interception return. We had great field position, and we didn't fully take advantage of that, right? Or it also speaks to the time of possession discrepancy. You only have 57 snaps because you got to think about it. You have two drives of 12 plays, let's say, in a game. That's 24 snaps. What happened on the other 9 to 10 drives that you had in the game? So again, this also speaks to slow starts. In the 2 home games, we got off to fast starts. And even though it may not have shown up on the scoreboard, we got off to faster starts against the Giants in week 1 and against the Raiders in week 3. On the 2 road games, it looked like we didn't know what time the game started. And we're going to talk about that here in a bit during DQ's press conference. But Andrew Wiley, Chris Paul, Josh Connolly, Laramie Tunsil, Marcus Mariota, and Tyler Biadasz all played all 57 snaps, as you would expect. The quarterback and the 5 offensive linemen, if everything goes the way that it's supposed to. Deebo Samuel played the most snaps of any skill position player. That's normally Terry McLaurin's role, but because he's not here, Deebo had to fill that void. Chris Moore. I look, if I'm living in a world where Chris Moore has the second most non-quarterback offensive lineman snaps in a game offensively, I hate my life. I hate my life if Chris Moore is with the second most snaps of any skill position player. I hate it here. I hate it here. I never want to come back here. Somebody get me the hell out of this weird ass alternate dimension that we're living in right now, where Chris Moore is playing. We threw a swing screen to Chris Moore. We called a play in the huddle for Chris Moore to catch a swing screen. Somebody wake me up from this nightmare. Zach Ertz, 35 snaps. 27 for Ben Sinnott. 25 for Jalen Lane. I thought he and Luke McCaffrey would have played a little bit more in this game, but again, only 57 snaps. So Jalen Lane or Chris Rodriguez and Bill both had 20 snaps apiece on the ground, or just in general. McNichol, so they really split up these running back reps. 20 for Bill, 20 for C-Rod, and 19 for J-Mac. So they really split those up. Colson Yankoff, 10 snaps. Big play Tay Martin, 9 snaps. Lord have mercy. What have we gotten ourselves into? Trent Scott, 9 snaps, and Nick Allegretti got out there for 1 snap. So you then go from the offensive to the defensive snap counts. And let's make this one a little bit bigger if we can. All right. So 65 snaps defensively. So more defensive snaps than offensive snaps. And again, that's usually not how we operate. Usually we're up in the 70s in terms of offensive snaps, and the defensive snaps are down in the 50s, low 60s. Like we're trending towards 70 snaps defensively, and we didn't even hit 60 snaps offensively. Like that tells you what type of a game it was, because we didn't possess the ball enough. And that speaks to the offense. Again, we can blame the defense all we want, and they deserve as much blame as you're willing to give them. But the offense could do more. Those people that say JD doesn't play defense, bullshit. This is proof right here. Bullshit. We could reduce the amount of snaps the defense is on the field by 12 to 15 snaps. If JD5 is out there and we're converting third downs and we're scoring touchdowns, it changes drastically what this game looks like. Don't tell me he doesn't play defense, because he does. Quan Martin, Bobby Wagner, Frankie Louvu, and Marshawn Lattimore all played 100% of the snaps. Mike Sainristil played 90% of the snaps, or excuse me, 92% of the snaps. Trey Amos, good to see him out there for 91% of the snaps. Jeremy Reeves, 89% of the snaps at 58 snaps. Deron Payne led all defensive linemen in snaps with 42. Javon Kinlaw, 40 snaps. Dorrance Armstrong, 39. I want to see Dorrance play more. I was seeing way too much JJB out there, guys who aren't getting any pressure on the quarterback. I need my best guys out there. Like, I get you want to roll with a deep crew. You want to be fresh and keep guys fresh and all that shit. I need my best guys out there, especially when you're not getting home. And we need to see more twists and stunts, because we don't have enough guys that are going to win one-on-one matchups. I need twists and stunts. I need games up front. DQ talked about that today too. Jacob Martin, 33 snaps for 51%. Jalen Holmes, 25. Like, I saw too much Jalen Holmes. Preston Smith, anybody? Well, guess what? We don't have a choice this week with the Javonte John Baptiste news. We're going to get Preston Smith, whether we like it or not. Eddie Goldman, 24 snaps. Johnny Newton, 23 snaps. Von Miller, 21 snaps. Javonte John Baptiste, 18 snaps. Darnell Savage, 9 snaps. He came in and immediately was a part of a touchdown. Good job, Darnell. Again, he just got here. I'm not going to beat him up. He just got here, man. Not tripping. Noah Igbenogany, 4 snaps defensively for him. So let's go ahead and get to what DQ said at his press conference today. He said a lot. He did say a lot. He started his press conference by talking about Javonte John Baptiste and his injury. He said that he's out indefinitely with a pec injury. We all saw him leave the field favoring his pec, his shoulder. We didn't know exactly what the extent of the injury was then. We now know he tore his pec. We heard that last night. There were rumblings that he had torn his pec muscle. It was confirmed today. Usually when you tear your pec, you're out for the season. But remember, Jonathan Allen tore his pec last year and then came back towards the end of the season. So I usually just say this guy's out for the season. I'm not going to do that because of what happened with Jonathan Allen last year. But and Allen, if you recall, he didn't tear his pec into the Ravens game. That Ravens game was what, week 5 last year? I think we were 3-1 heading into that Ravens game. So I'm just not going to do that right now and say that he's out. Or the Ravens game might have been week 6, whatever it was. This happened in week 4. There could be a chance that JJB is back, but his season could be done. He's definitely on IR. He gave a Jayden update as well, said, look, he had a great practice on workout on Saturday before the Falcons game. They're very encouraged by where he is. They're going to come up with a practice schedule for him this week. They're going to, continue to monitor him, see how he does with the workload that they put on him, see what the doctors say, and then go from there. It feels like he's going to be back this week. Felt like that. It kind of feels like that was the plan all along, was for him to miss 2 weeks. If he was feeling good, if there were no setbacks, be ready to come back versus the Chargers. We'll see, right? He then talked about the arrow trending upwards. This was the first question he got from the media. I think John Keim asked about where the other slew of injured players were. He gave a Sam Cosmi update where he basically said, Sam is available to come off of IR today. And start his 21-day window. They're going to assess his situation, and they're going to give us more information on Wednesday as to when they're going to start that process with him. But he talked about the arrow trending upward. And I told you guys yesterday, help is on the way. We just got to find a way, which is why yesterday was so big. If we could have won yesterday, it would have bought us some time to be able to say, hey, you don't have to rush anybody back until the Bears game, right? The Bears game feels like when the cavalry will arrive. I think you're going to be one more week without Terry. There's a chance that Noah Brown and John Bates are back this week. I'm still trending towards them not being back until next week the following week on a Monday night. You get the extra day of rest too against the Bears. That's when it feels like they'll be back. It doesn't feel like they'll be back this coming week. That includes Terry, right? But he said the arrow is pointing up for all of those guys, meaning they're trending in the right direction, but trending in the right direction doesn't mean you're going to be back and ready to hit the field this coming week. So we can hold our breaths collectively that we get somebody. No, look, we'll take Noah Brown back at this point. We can talk shit about him, but it helps a lot just to get somebody else back out there. So Chris Moore isn't playing, 80% of the offensive snaps. He was asked about the big plays on defense. Like, what's going on here? Like, he said, communication is key. That has been off a little bit. And the pass rush has to hit home. I talked about that yesterday. I said, look, y'all can sit here and kill the secondary all you want. I don't give a shit who your secondary consists of. You give a quarterback all day, it's hard to ask a guy to cover for 4, 5, 6 seconds, like we've been asking our defensive backs to do in games where we haven't gotten to the quarterback. And yesterday was one of those games where we didn't get to the quarterback. Now, yes, Michael Penix was getting the ball out of his hands very quickly. And I said we should have been disrupting them at the line of scrimmage to eliminate him getting the ball out of his hands quickly. That's what Carolina did the week before. We did not follow suit. However, there were times where he decided to drop back, 7-step drops, 5-step drops, hold on to the bitch, burp the baby, and then let it rip. That's on the pass rush. He talked about Luke McCaffrey's growth. He said he showed the team. He said thought it was a cool moment when he scored a touchdown, and on the ensuing kickoff, he went down and made a tackle. And he said he showed the team that. And we know that Luke is continuing to grow. There are a ton of Luke haters in this fan base, but ultimately, he's going to be a solid player for us. He's playing special teams now. He's returning kickoffs like he did last year. And he helped us in the pass game. Caught a touchdown yesterday. Like, Luke can help. Luke can help. DQ talked about the missed tackles being an issue. He's like, look, that shit was atrocious yesterday. He's like, we had double-digit missed tackles. That's not us. And we will be better. And he said, we're gonna implement some things to be better, as soon as we hit the practice field on Wednesday. He said, you don't have to take guys to the ground to get better at tackling. We got to work on our angles, all of that. Yeah, he said, no, that shit wasn't good. This reminded me of week 1 against the Patriots tackling exhibition, which was just atrocious. So yeah, DQ was not happy. He said second and third down defense was problematic in this game, which it was. He said the second down and long defense in particular, we had them in some second and longs. I remember typing to the mob. We had them in a 2nd and 18, and I think they threw it to Kyle Pitts and got like 16. I said, oh, well, we just gave all of that shit back, right? Like, you do all of this to put them in a tough spot, and then you just give it all back basically on second down. So that third down is very manageable. It's frustrating. It really, truly is. And then obviously he highlighted the third down defense on that final drive of the game. Going into that final drive, they were, I think, 3 of 8 on third down. So it wasn't like they weren't killing us on third downs as much as it felt like it. They weren't killing us on third downs as much, but they did have a 4th down conversion in the game as well. So that felt like a third down conversion when it really wasn't, to keep a drive alive. But ultimately, they went into that drive 3 of 8. They came out of that drive 6 of 12. And the only reason that they didn't convert the final third down is because they didn't have to. They were in a position where it was a chip shot field goal, would put the game essentially out of reach, put them up 2 scores. They were not interested in converting unless we gave it to them. They were interested in running the football, forcing us to use our timeouts, eat clock, and kick the field goal because they were in chip shot field goal range. So who knows if we would have got the stop there either. Didn't get the previous 3. There's no telling if we would have gotten that one had they really been trying to go for it. So I thought David Aldridge tried to tippy-toe around the same question that was lobbed at defensive coordinator Joe Witt Jr. 2 weeks ago when he was in an honorary mood and pissed off and chesty with people. Is anybody being targeted? That's essentially what DA, David Aldridge, asked DQ. And we knew who he's talking about. This is Marshon Lattimore. They're not even throwing at the rookie, bro. They're not even trying the rookie. I think partly that's due to he's that damn good, right? That we're not even trying him. But the other portion of that is, why try him when we can eat for free against Marshon Lattimore? Why even go over there? We know we're going to have to pay. We know we got to pay. If we try the young fella, we got to pay. Green Bay had to pay on a 4th down. The Raiders almost paid in the way of an interception last week. This man gets targeted once or twice maximum. He broke up a pass against Malik Neighbors in week 1. They don't even try him. I got Eagles fans sending me clips of Quinyon Mitchell having to break up like 7 passes in a game. Our guy isn't even getting targeted. Don't talk to me about who's better. They don't target guys they respect. It's not like Quinyon Mitchell has some kind of demon on the other side. They could easily go after the Keely Ringo on the other. Is Keely Ringo locking it down? Bullshit. Bullshit. Between Adoree Jackson and Keely Ringo, there's enough targets to go around on the opposite side, and they're just targeting Quinyon because he looks like food right now. He had a game on Sunday, but he looks like food. Our guy is so clean over there. They going after Marshon, though. They picking on him. DQ is not going to say it, but everybody knows. It's obvious. DQ did the diplomatic thing. He talked about, everybody's got to be better, and in certain instances they're going outside or this, that. Like DQ, they targeting Marshon, bro. What are you gonna do about it? And I'm not insinuating or suggesting that we bench him, or I'm suggesting that you put him in a better position so he doesn't get targeted. That's what I'm suggesting. All right. Slow starts on the road. That's a big one. That's a big one. Like, here we are. Slow starts on the road. We've had 2 home games. We've looked excellent. We've had 2 road games, and we looked like we didn't know the game started at the time that it started. The Green Bay game, defensively, we actually got a stop on 4th down. Probably shouldn't have gotten a stop at all, because if the ball was better thrown on the 3rd down against Mikey, because Mikey didn't know where the ball was, it probably was a catch. Probably was a touchdown. But I digress. They threw it on 4th down, and Trey Amos broke it up. We actually got to stop. But the offense looked anemic, out of sorts. But that was a Thursday night. That was Thursday night behavior. This was a Sunday game that you had time to prepare for. And it looked like the Falcons were the more energized team. They were clearly the more desperate team. Clearly the more desperate team. We came out like they were going to just lie down and give us the same performance they gave the Panthers the week prior. Like, they out-physicaled us. They punched us in the mouth. They hit us in our gut, and we didn't fight back early in this game. We was on some, it's like, wait, Louie. No, I don't want to give you my lunch money. They took our lunch money. They took our, grabbed us by our ankles, shook us upside down, took our lunch money early, and we didn't even fight back. Shit was appalling. He's like, we got to be better, and we will be better. Like, he's like, I can't, point to exactly what it is. If I could, then we'd be fixed already. But, we're going to emphasize it because we're on the road again. We're on the road again this week. Newsflash. Got to get this shit together. You can't find yourself down 2 scores and then trying to dig yourself up out of a hole the rest of the game. That's what we've done both games on the road. You start with a 2-score deficit and you never can recover. He was asked about things that I like and don't like. He said run game, takeaways, third down defense. He said, I really like how we got after in the run game. He said, I wish we would have done it a little bit more. So do we, DQ. He said, takeaways, we got to get more takeaways, bro. This is really nasty work right now. We got one on Sunday, and that was good, but we got to take it away. And then third down defense. That's something that has been a strength for us. And then, unfortunately, it wasn't yesterday. And that hurt us bad. And so, he said we're going to dig into all of that stuff. He talked about motions and the trouble that we've been given with, motions pre-snap. And he tried to, kind of downplay it. There's no downplaying it. John Keim gave us a stat today that suggested that we were the absolute worst in terms of the amount of big plays, chunk plays given up in the league in motion situations. And only two teams, the Eagles and I forget who the other team was, have given up more yards, but we've given up the most plays of 15 yards or more. Or I think it was 20 yards or more, one or the other. So the motion is kicking our ass, and we see it. I mean, it's easy completions on the motions on third downs when we got to have it. If I'm playing us, all I'm going to do is I'm going to motion to a bunch and then run it out. Marshawn Lattimore is going to be 12 yards off. You're going to run your 5-6 yard speed cut, wide ass open. You need it 4. You need it 6. He's going to be off 8 yards. Catch it, run out of bounds. It's easy pitch and catch. What's not to love if you're a team playing the Commanders right now? He talked about the pass rush yesterday, and he said, we need to stunt more. I agree. Like, I've said this already. We're not a one-on-one, we're going to whoop your ass team. We don't have a badass pass rusher. That we're missing that. And we knew that. We knew that coming in. Like, we got guys that, I've said this. If you have an inferior offensive line, we can do damage. I think we'll have a chance to do damage against the Chargers. They're really banged up on the offensive line. And I know a lot of people like the Falcons were really banged. No, they really weren't banged up. They just had one guy out. They're still intact. The Chargers are playing with multiple backups on their offensive line at the tackle position. Their interior already wasn't great to begin with. So the strength of their offensive line were the two tackles. They're both out of the game on Sunday. So we have a distinct advantage up front, like we did against the Giants, like we did against the Raiders, and I expect us to take advantage of it. But you can't rely on that every week because you're not going to have that every week. You're not going to have a distinct advantage every week up front where you can harass the quarterback, stop the run, and dominate up front. We've got to be better in games where the opposition's offensive line is good, and we got to find ways to still generate some sort of pressure and be able to affect the game from a pass rush standpoint. And we didn't do that yesterday. And I think stunts, twists, and games up front are the way we're going to be able to do that against better offensive lines. He talked about communication issues. He kind of talked about it earlier in the press conference when he talked about giving up big plays. But he said the communication is key. Sometimes you get motion. He said, and he said, look, it really ain't that hard. Like, we making the shit harder than what it really needs to be. And that's why we just got to get back to the basics. And if we can't get this shit right, then we got to take what we're doing and we got to simplify it even more. And if we can't get that, we got to simplify it. But that hurts the amount of calls you can make. If guys can't communicate and know their responsibility, then I got to take some shit out. And that shortens what you can do defensively. And that, you don't want to have to do that. But they got to get this shit corrected. He was asked about Mikey's play thus far, because a lot of people have been disappointed with Mikey in the slot. I actually thought this past game was Mikey's best game in the slot. Even when he gave up catches, they were highly contested, unlike what we saw from Marshawn Lattimore yesterday. So he said this was Mikey's best game. Obviously, he had to pick. I thought he had a nice, play where he was all over Drake London. And Drake London's like 6'4". Mikey's like 5'10", 5'11". And so it was a distinct advantage just there. Mikey fought him at the point of, the catch point, but it wasn't enough. But I just like the fact that he was right there. It was really good coverage. He said Mikey played well in this game, and they're, they want to see more from him. And he said Louie, had his best game, and he did. He had a sack, he had some pressures, he was flying around. He had a tackle for loss, or he should have had a tackle for loss, but that was one of the missed tackles in the game. But his initial mess that he created allowed a tackle for loss by another one of his teammates. So Louie was very active in this game. And so hopefully we start to see, him and Mikey and others that we came into the season relying on as guys that we needed to make plays start to, stack really good efforts on top of one another. DQ was asked, well, what was his Tell the Truth Monday message? And he said, play style. We got to be consistent with the play style. He said, the home versus the away play style right now, it's not clicking. They're not the same. When we're at home, the play style looks different. We're getting after it. We start fast. When we're on the road, we start slow. He said, look, we're going to battle. And that's one thing I always tell the mob when we're down in these games and it feels like it's over. I'm like, this team going to fight. We don't get blown out. You know what I mean? We've been blown out twice in the DQ era. His first game ever here, and then the NFC Championship game. And that's because we turned it over a gajillion times. Like, we fight to the very bitter end. Even if it feels like we got dominated, like the Packers game. We only lost that game by 9 points. We never look up at the scoreboard and go, damn, we got our asses kicked today. Because we fight. But it shouldn't take us to be down multiple scores for us to just all of a sudden wake the hell up and say, oh, shit, we're in a football game. Let's do that from the jump. And that's pretty much what he said his message was. Then I think this was a great question by Ben Standing. He asked about B-Wag's snaps. Like, look, man, we know he's the quarterback of the defense and y'all want him out there all the time. But, I mean, dude's 35. Y'all can't have him running one-on-one with Bijan. And DQ acknowledged, like, yeah, no, I mean, that's not a great matchup for him. But he's like, B-Wags would tell you it's all about angles. Like, you take a better angle there. And I just don't want to see him in that situation. I hear what you're saying about angles, but if they still throw that ball out there and B-Wags is on top of him from an angles perspective, and he just cuts it back, there was so much green grass over there. I expect him to freak him, right? Stick his foot in the ground, cut back on Bobby's ass, and then just murk. Like, I don't see Bobby making a tackle out in space on Bijan. Like, we shouldn't have him in that position. You know what I mean? And so Ben's question basically was like, you ever give thought to maybe putting some of your younger guys out there that are more athletically gifted in those situations? There's nothing wrong. Like, I see the Steelers, they love Cole Holcomb on first and second down, but they love Peyton Wilson, their second year. I think he was a third round linebacker. They love him in passing situations. And it's not like Cole Holcomb is Bobby Wagner. I get it. One's a future gold jacket wearer and the other is, a guy that's been a solid, NFL pro, but still, you can have different packages that allow other guys to get on the field. Like, Bobby doesn't have to be out there 100% of the snaps. But we'll see if they make the adjustment. They're going to be stubborn on that one. DQ and they love Bobby. They love what he brings. They're going to be stubborn on that one. They're going to drag their feet, kicking and screaming on that one. But if it continues, if teams continue to isolate him, and again, they got caught in the right call. DQ, to his point, and I said this yesterday, it could have happened to anybody. Right? Could have happened on any play. They just had the right play called for what we were in, and we got caught. And so ultimately, they're going to keep putting Bobby out there. And if he keeps getting cooked, they'll do something, but they're not going to do anything right now. I can tell you that right now. So we'll see what happens. But that was DQ in his presser. Before we get to the comment section, I got another word from one of our sponsors.
This is LouieTeeNetwork.
Lou does not realize that I just read this super chat. Literally, it's the one I just read. Like, there was nothing in between. There was no grace period between it or nothing. Lou just said, double up. Double up. He doubled up. Swaggy P's, George. Shout out to Swaggy P.
Avoid waking up feeling like LouieTeeNetwork by taking Z-Biotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink, the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut called acetaldehyde. It's a buildup of acetaldehyde, not dehydration, that's to blame for rough days after drinking. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break down acetaldehyde. Just remember, to make pre-alcohol your first drink of the night, drink responsibly and you'll feel your best tomorrow. Go to zbiotics.com/LouieT to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use LouieT at checkout. ZBiotics is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember, head to zbiotics.com/LouieT and use the code LouieT at checkout for 15% off. So don't wake up feeling like Louie T. That's my guy. Swagger tweet. Sex.
Don't read it for a third time, Lou. Goddamn, bro.
Lou, please. Lou, please.
Have a ZBiotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink and feel like yourself in the morning.
All right. So I got to say this on behalf of ZBiotics. This is one of, so there's only been a handful of products that I've endorsed that I just truly love. Like they add real nutritional value to my life. The Ridge wallet that I advertised last season, I love it. I got the wallet, I got the keychain. Those are like things that I can't do without. This is another product. Like if you don't drink, don't drink. Okay. All right. Drinking is not for everyone. If you don't drink, don't drink. But if you do, what are you talking about? Like this right here, game changer. All right. I can look like that. Like you saw me, Louie TF. You can see me looking like that and how I bounce back. Part of the reason after trying this is this right here. Now, I have a high tolerance and threshold for alcohol consumption, but that ZBiotic, I took 20 shots. My dad's neighbor, one of my favorite guys. He's my guy, and he has all this alcohol. Former military, so he's been all over the world, and he buys the liquor when he goes, and he's like, "Yo, you got to try this one." And I love tequila, so he's like, "You got to try this one. You got to try this one. You got to try this one." And so we just taking shots. ZBiotics. Go ahead and get it. Link is in the description of this video. I'm going to pin it to the comment section of this video as well. Use my promo code, get you 15% off. Trust me, you won't be sorry. All right. Anyway, I digress. Let's get to the comment section real quick. We'll get out of here. Video channel. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Video channel. Writes. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Lou, that's a lot to put on Five's plate in year 2. With this defense in which play calling, Five is basically 2024 Joe Burrow on the Bengals. Nope, that's not that. This defense isn't as bad as Cincinnati. This defense isn't even as bad as it was last year. Y'all got to stop doing that. This defense is not, you guys got to stop acting. I just told you that we had the #1 third down defense last year. We were on a historically bad pace through 3 weeks last year. I don't know what you guys are talking about. I don't know what you guys are talking about. And yes, we're putting a lot on Five because to whom much is given, much is expected. We can't say that he's one of them ones, and then when we try to put that kind of responsibility on his shoulders, you want to fall back. If he's one of them ones, then it's not a problem to come out here and bless these opposing defenses to take some pressure off of your defense. I put that kind of responsibility on my GOAT because I see him in that light. The Bengals were historically bad on defense. That's not who we are. Y'all got to stop doing that to this defense. Y'all got to stop that. Swaggy P, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, as soon as I clown someone for a Luke anytime touchdown bet in week 2, yes, you did. You did that. You said it's in God's hands. He done went crazy. He done went loco, right? He's been doing well. Maybe I need to do that for the whole defense. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. AJ Meehan, thank you for being a member for 38 months. Salute to you. who writes, we just took a loss hard because the entire offense full of backup scored 27 points. That's more than enough to win a football game. It's ridiculous. I'm all for DQ taking over play calling duties. I get it. Like, I just told you, I don't want to live in a world where Chris Moore is playing 40 snaps of a game where we had 57 offensive snaps. I don't want to live in a world where that's happening. So I get it. That was enough to win yesterday. Should have been, but it wasn't because the defense was so bad. I get it. I understand. Lorenzo Simpson, he's not taking over play calling duties, y'all. All right. Not 4 weeks into the season. And again, if that's where you're going now, you don't leave yourself any room or margin for error down the road, right? Like DQ doesn't want to call defensive plays. He wants to run the entire team. My guy, Lorenzo Simpson, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, Zoe, writes, at this point, Amos needs to travel with the number 1 wide receiver. Play whatever scheme, but 23 got to be one all game. I don't know if that's the best move or not, him traveling and moving around. I think they just need to keep guys on a side, right? That's what's got Marshawn Lattimore in trouble now, running across the formation and man-to-man coverage, chasing guys. Keep them on one side, right? So that doesn't have to happen and you don't get a free completion on motion to a bunch and then a quick speed out, right? Smacky, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Smacky writes, get rid of ties, winners and losers only. I wish I could, but I can't. I'm sorry, I can't. Ties are a part of the game. It's going to look nasty on the sheet, and you had people eliminated yesterday from the survivor pool because of it. Ties are a part of the game, though. Ties are a part of the game, Smacky. JC Blumquist. Golly, that one kicked my ass. JC Blumquist. Whew. That one was a mouthful. JC Blumquist. Thank you for being a member for 16 months. Hey. Really appreciate you who writes, hey, Lou, yeah, I went to the game. End zone, all 22 view. I would point out that Penix was perfect in ball placement along with lack of pass rush. He did a hell of a job throwing the football yesterday. Like, I'm not disputing any of that. But to your point, the lack of pass rush was a real problem. Because I said his footwork isn't great. You get him to move his feet, he'll start throwing the ball flat-footed and doing all kinds of – because he's got a big arm, so he can chuck it flat-footed. And a lot of times guys with big arms will throw the football flat-footed because they know they can still get it there, and that's how you get them into trouble. We never made him change his platform. He got to drop back, sit comfortably, stand with a good base, and deliver the football. And when you let him do that, he's going to deliver the football accurately. That's why he was a top 10 pick in the draft. So we didn't do our part yesterday defensively up front, and that allowed him to be as successful as he was in the game. So we got to be better. And I hope we will be better in the future. But anyway, I digress. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on Commanders Nightly News. I look forward to chopping it up with you guys in the future. My biggest takeaway is we need our demon back. A lot of things can change defensively, but the best way to help this defense be the best version of itself is to keep them from being on the field as much as they were yesterday. The best way to do that is have the offense be effective and efficient again. We need 5 in order to maximize this offense. No matter who's healthy, who ain't, you got 5, you got a chance to be great. Give me my demon back. Give me my GOAT back. And I think we can start talking about getting this defense back to where it needs to be. Some adjustments definitely need to be made, and we'll have those discussions throughout the course of this week. But ultimately, we need 5 back. He plays offense and defense. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T. Until next time, you guys have a good one. Peace.